What's good, people? Welcome back to another edition of Gen Sports Corner. Back at you with the greatest in sports and music entertainment. And you know exactly what I'm here to talk about today. Come on now. We're going to talk about that Raptors 105-92 victory last night over the Golden State Warriors. Big win, big time win for the North. You know, I'm a Sixers fan, but I got to give it up for the Raptors coming out and taking care of business in Game 4, a pivotal game for both teams. Now, let's kind of look into some of the factors that played into this matchup and the outcome last night. The big thing right off rip were the injuries. Was the injuries. To one, obviously, Kevin Durant. Was he going to play? The verdict came out that he was not. He did not suit up last night. That was a big loss for them. Two, Kevin Looney, he actually did suit up. He did play last night. Definitely played an important role for Golden State as a rebounder. That's really, in my opinion, I think that's one of the big things that their offense hinges around is actually Kevin Looney, because as good of a shooting team as Golden State is, when they miss those garbage rebounds on the offensive board by Looney, they get so many second chance opportunities. I think that he's one of the key linchpins for that offense. And then lastly, looking at Klay Thompson on that hobbled wheel, how effective was he going to be going into Game 4? And me personally, when I heard the news that he was going to be playing, regardless of whether if you have a healthy Klay Thompson, I would have given them a better chance. But I just don't think at this point in the season, after all the games you played during the season, throughout this playoff run, going into the finals, you're as healthy as you're going to get. Everybody's playing injured to some extent at this point in the season, and you don't get healthier. You just do the best with where you're at. And especially with the travel, you get on that plane, you're flying from Toronto back out to Golden State. When you have an injury, I believe it was a hamstring. I'm not sure, to be quite honest, but I do know obviously it was affecting his leg. Yeah, I believe it was a hamstring. You know, when you're traveling back and forth, you don't get a chance to rehab that injury properly. You just don't have the proper time for recuperation of that muscle group or whatever muscle group is affecting you, especially if it's a pull of a major muscle group. So I didn't think he was going to be right. He played solid, but I didn't think it was going to be enough. And Toronto came out, and to their credit, they faced a tough Golden State team in that first half. I mean, first quarter, Golden State outscores them 23-17. Second quarter, Toronto barely outscores them 25-23. They're down by 4 points at halftime. But then in that third quarter, they come out like gangbusters, 37-21 in the third quarter. Completely run Golden State off the court in that third quarter. And in the fourth, they outscore Golden State by 1 point. I mean, Golden State made their runs here and there, but it was just quite clear that without Kevin Durant to bring that other added dimension to that offense, all Toronto really has to do is just kind of take away the three-point line and say, here, we'll give you the dribble drive, Steph. You can take that. Klay, if you want to spot up and hit the jumper from 19 feet, be our guest. You can make those all day, but you're not going to get these runs where you're hitting 2, 3, 4 3-pointers in a row. We're not going to give you that. And without Kevin Durant to affect the spacing, to allow them to get these open looks from the three-point line, Toronto, they had the length and the defensive prowess to be able to lock them down. And Serge Ibaka, I mean, he's back to being Serge Ibaka. I mean, he's out there just swatting people, man. I mean, he was on his grind, man. Kawhi Leonard went out there, gave you 41 minutes, 36 points. The board man gets the money. 12 rebounds, man. Out there on them boards, man. Siakam gave you a solid 19 and 5. Kyle Lowry gave you 10. But he hit some key three-pointers in that game in key moments. It's not always about how many points you score is when you score them. And that goes for any sport. That goes for football, goes for basketball, whatever you want to talk about. Because if you're scoring when it matters, that's gonna determine who gets control of the game, and that's going to predict the outcome. That's going to have much more weight over the outcome of the game than just how many points you put up. Case in point, Steph put up 45 in game 3, but a lot of those points came when they were down by 12 points. Like, they were down by 15, he'd hit a 3, bang, and then they'd be a little silent for a little bit. So like, he's consistently scoring, but he's the only one scoring, and not in moments where they're going on big runs to really close the gap. It's in spots here and there. So yeah, the Raptors, they definitely did a great job in game 4. A critical game to win, because now you have home court advantage. You got it back in game 3. You took complete control of the series in game 4. You're up 3-1, and now you're going back to Toronto, I believe. And that now Golden State's in a tough spot now, man. They're in a very tough spot going into this game 5. It's obviously a must win. And now the Raptors have seen your best shot, your best punch. The only thing that you can do different is hopefully have Klay Thompson improve his health from, and this is just arbitrary, measurement. I'm obviously not on their medical staff, behind closed doors, actually seeing where he is along in the progression of his injury. But, maybe you have Klay Thompson go from 80% to 85% health. Is that really going to help them? Even 100% healthy Klay Thompson, which nobody's going to be 100%. Stylistically, what's going to be different? What is going to be different stylistically? I don't know if this version of Golden State is able to beat the Raptors as they're currently constructed. Now, I may be wrong. You can leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you think differently. Let me know if you agree. But that's just the way I see it and the way I feel. My sentiment going into the playoffs was that the winner of the NBA Finals was going to come out of the East. I just didn't know which team it was going to be out of the Raptors, the Milwaukee Bucks, or the Philadelphia 76ers. I didn't know which of those 3 teams would get to the finals, but my call was that the winner was coming out of the East. I personally thought it was going to be the Sixers or the Bucks, and I was wrong on those 2. But I felt as though all 3 of those teams, regardless of who made it, they defensively were going to be able to match up very well against the Golden State Warriors. That's the one thing that the Warriors have not faced in the past 3 to 4 years, is a team in the finals that is able to match them player for player. If not player for player, then at least 3 out of their 4 stars. I mean, let's say, for example, you look at Toronto. You have Klay and Steph. Those are your 2 scoring options without Durant. You put Kawhi on Steph. You can even put Kyle Lowry on Steph. Kyle Lowry offensively has not been playing up to par, but defensively he is a nuisance. He's a gnat on a pile of crap. He doesn't go anywhere, and he's in your hip pocket, and he to the point where he just annoys you so much on defense. And then you can put Kawhi Leonard and even double Klay Thompson with a mixture of Kawhi and Siakam, and then you can put Serge Ibaka on Draymond. Boom, you've covered your bases. Where does Golden State go from there? See, question. Look at the Bucks. Look at the length on that team on defense. Middleton, the Greek Freak, Giannis, Eric Bledsoe. And he's the shortest out of the bunch, and he's still a good defender. I mean, you have so many ways to really lock down on them. That's Again, question, how do they counteract that? Sixers. Jimmy Butler. You put him on Steph Curry. Or you put him on Klay Thompson. Ben Simmons. You can put him out on Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. You can rotate those guys in terms of the defense. You take Embiid. Oh, he's shutting down anybody, let alone Draymond Green. What is your answer after that? Without a Kevin Durant. Even with the Kevin Durant, that forces Kevin Durant to have to take over the game by himself. He doesn't have the spacing that's created by the other guys because we already know we can lock them down defensively. So that's why I feel, the East, we getting good, man. We getting good. But let me know what you think about this series and how it's going to play out. I have the Raptors in 6. I believe that Golden State will be able to pull out one win in Toronto, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get past Game 6. But that's really dependent upon their injury status, which is why it's so hard to call this series. But, it is what it is. I'm going to go with my prediction of Raptors in 6. Let me know what you guys think. That's it for now. I'll also be talking about the Triple G Steve Rose fight on the Zone tonight. Make sure you check that out if you're not already doing so. Also, make sure you tune into my YouTube channel and my website, genmusic856.com. I will leave that in the description. Make sure you also tune into and download the app for the Playmakers Radio. Every Tuesday night, 7 to 10 o'clock. I'm on there along with 007 and the Nets fan, infamous Nets fan, Chris. So, make sure you tune in and catch us every Tuesday night. So that's it for now. So I'll catch you on the next vid. And as always, appreciate this support. Salute.